This is Linda Sherman, at Linda Sherman, with Alexia Tsostis, at Alexia Tsostis. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Would you please give us a self-introduction in 140 characters or less?
Well, my name is Alexia Tsostis, and that's Alexiatsotis, and I think that's around 14. I am the tech and business lifestyle reporter for the LA Weekly, so that's 120 or something.
Very well done. When did you get on Twitter, Alexia?
I got on Twitter in December, and it was separate from my actual job as a writer. I just wanted to tweet about my funny family Christmas stuff, and I did, and I loved it. And I actually got called out for tweeting too much then, and I still get called out for tweeting too much now. So nothing's really changed.
Except that you've gotten very well known in Los Angeles. I've known you doing a lot of panels and very high profile these days.
Well, thank you. I think LA is the perfect community to talk about Twitter in, because we're always online. We've got so many people working on awesome startup stuff. Like it's totally the new Silicon Valley. So I'm happy to be part of a community here that elevates all of its members and make sure that everybody, if they're working on something good, they get the exposure, whether it's through Twitter or Facebook, that they need.
Terrific. Speaking of Twitter and Facebook, do you use those two platforms differently?
Well, Facebook, I have, and I know this isn't a lot of friends on Facebook. I have like 600 friends, and I feel like they're all uploading like 1,000 images because it runs very slow. So it's harder for me to interact on Facebook because it just takes so much time to load, and then there's so much information coming at me that I can't really figure out who's my friend and who's somebody that I met at a PR junket. So on Twitter, I see my @ replies and I see my DMs, and so I know who I'm in a conversation with. And I can go, using Boxcar, which is really awesome iPhone app, I can go and track my conversation threads, and it's a lot easier to keep updated with people that I'm constantly talking to. Facebook, it's a more push thing, whereas Twitter, it's an interaction, and so I like Twitter more, even though Facebook's useful for images.
Terrific. What is the most memorable shared experience that you've had on Twitter?
Shared experience. Oh, this is great, because Chris Hardwick's actually inside. I broke my toe. I broke the middle toe on my right foot. And I was tweeting about it. I'm like, oh, I think I just broke my toe, was a tweet. And then I was tweeting about going to the hospital, and one of my followers said, oh, well, you know, Chris Hardwick, Nerdist, just broke his toe as well. And he's tweeting about it. What happens when two of the people you're following on Twitter both have the same thing happen to them at the same time? Is that like a twin incidence? Or but I mean, the best part about that was I was in the hospital. I was in a lot of pain, and so was Chris Hardwick, who's on a panel right now, the comedy panel. And we were DMing each other, and we were talking to each other. I'm like, okay, so have you gone into X-ray yet? Have they put a stupid ortho shoe on your foot? Like, are you okay? So it was nice to have all the support of the people that were listening into our joint twittering about toe breaking, but also I broke the same toe on the same foot as somebody else in Los Angeles with with visibility on Twitter, and we obviously shared the same following. So it was strange, but it was actually very heartening to know that there were people out there, you know, making sure that we were okay and that we were going through the same thing at the same time.
Yeah, there was a lot of sharing and concern about you being in the hospital. And I think in the beginning, nobody knew why you were in the hospital, and there was caring. That was a shared experience. Just us worrying about Alexia was a shared experience.
Oh, thank you guys. I think that, like with @Drew, for example, I think that when you're transparent about the things that you're going through, @Drew and Jeff Jarvis do this really well, and then William Mark Salisbury. If you're transparent about the things that you're going through, either your health or the health of your family member, you'll find that Twitter is a great place to call a lot of support. And sometimes, and I know this sounds kind of lame and cheesy, but sometimes the tweets of support and the tweets of recognition and the tweets about the conversations about, like, hey, I've been there too, the shared experience, help you get through the day to get to the next level and, you know, move on. So, yes.
That's great. I wanted to give you an opportunity to plug one thing, if you have something that you'd like to plug.
Well, I'll plug two. I'll plug Drew for that's hashtag Blame Drew's Cancer, and I'll plug the comedy panel that's going on right now with Chris Hardwick and some other really funny people. And then LA Weekly is having a Best of the Web Awards. So a week from now, we will have a voting interface on laweekly.com, and you can go and vote for your favorite LA web
Name
peeps.
the date, because I can't tell you exactly when this is coming out.
We want to. I mean, we don't. Soon. It'll probably be up by then. But just visit laweekly.com and you'll find it.
Okay, that's terrific.
Thank you.
I do have one last thing, and that is the 3 things that you would like to advise somebody who's new on Twitter on getting started.
Don't care about how many followers you have. I mean, SHIT, my dad says. somebody influential found that and tweeted it out, and now it's at like 500,000. Don't care. If you have good stuff, and I know that this is like such consultant talk, but if you're good and you like people, they'll just, start following you. I don't think it matters really. I think what matters the most is to make sure that you're talking to others. I think you once said that if I don't see any @replies on your stream, forget you.
That was me.
Yeah, and I think that's I've kept that with me in my job as a social media tech reporter, because if you don't have a discussion, if you're not talking to people, then you're irrelevant at the moment. So I think that's the only valuable piece of advice. Be hot. Sean Percival, he does that really well. So thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your talking to us today.